Hello guys, hope everybody's doing well. This is Mr. Rammer back with you for another one of our timeline videos, this time highlighting section 18.3, Chinese industry and in particular inventions inside that industry from about 200 BCE, before Common Era as we know, to approximately 1000 CE. So stretching approximately 1200 years is what we will be looking at inside this timeline. We'll be looking at topics such as paper, printing, porcelain, steel, and more in preparation for this Thursday's quiz. So quick reminder, timeline video number 1 for section 18 is already up there, 18.2. Looking at navigation, and this along with our other PowerPoints and timeline videos will be posted on the calendar as soon as possible. So first we'll look at steel in approximately 200 BCE. The Chinese first begin to create steel out of cast iron and wrought iron. Those were kind of fused together. Wrought iron was more flexible than that of cast iron, which, as I said in class, is a really heavy iron. Still used in pans today. Those were put together and it formed steel, much kind of stronger and flexible metal as opposed to the iron itself. Year 1, as you guys have used throughout your timelines this semester, the Elder Rammer is born, kind of a way to mark the beginning of the Common Era. 100 CE, so papermaking is invented, as I had mentioned in class. Going all the way back to the ancient Egyptians, papyrus had been used, but this is closer to the formal papermaking that we do today. It's amazing that for almost 500 years the Chinese were the only ones who knew how to make paper. Eventually it spread out of China to Japan and the rest of Asia, but Europe was still kind of sheltered from this technology for a much longer period. On the left there we see a little bit of the woodblock printing and the paper money on the right, but we'll discuss woodblock printing a little bit more up here. So 600 CE, woodblock printing is invented, and the Chinese within 200 years have a strong woodblock printing industry inside the country. Woodblock printing is still something that is used today, although not nearly as much. It's primarily used in fine art prints and things of that nature, so not nearly as popular as it used to be, but this is really kind of the foundation of reading and writing inside of China, and kind of helped increase literacy rates, or the amount of people who could read and write across the world. So this is kind of the beginning of that process. One of the great things about the woodblock printing is that it made the production of religious texts, so the Quran and the Bible, for example. Now, while those weren't printed necessarily in China, those would have the opportunity to be produced much quicker than they were beforehand. Playing cards as well, things like that. So 900 CE, we see porcelain begins to be mass produced. We talked about how mass production was when the same kind of quality of goods is produced, but at a much faster rate. Porcelain would be glazed and kind of color-coded on the outside to make it appeal to people along the Indian Ocean trade and Silk Road. It would be kind of put through a kiln, which would give it that kind of glazed look, but also make it waterproof, which it could then be kind of painted over afterwards. Something I really like is actually the Chinese characters, and something we'll get to use a little bit more in our upcoming classes. A key concept to keep in mind is that China is inventing these, meaning Europe does not have these inventions yet. So even though Europe perceived China as a backwards country, that is inaccurate. And as you can see, just by the amount of industry inventions that we're looking at, China was kind of ahead of the game in many aspects. And again, not just industry, but navigation and some of the everyday items that we'll look at in later timeline videos. But 1000 CE, movable type is created. They use clay instead of wood, which makes it so that you do not have to constantly create letters over and over again, but making that easier. The price of printing goes down, which makes it more available to everybody else. And again, I stress the fact that Europe did not have movable type till the 1400s. Probably the Gutenberg press is what I would assume they are alluding to. But just to look here at our placard, how kind of complex the movable type was, there'd be Even on this page alone, probably 100 different characters. You'd press the paper on top of that, and you'd finally get your print. So pretty complex, shows the advancement of Chinese society over Europe at this time. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, of course, bring them up in class to me. Take care. Bye, guys.